everyone, welcome. I'm Abaya and I'm so excited to practice with you today or tonight, depending on what time zone you're in. Today's focus is going to be on moving a little slower and moving smoother. And when you hear those words, you might be surprised to learn that moving slower and smoother actually makes you stronger. And so we'll be embodying water as we smooth things out and move fluidly. If you haven't already, you can zoom out, Satyam. You're welcome to spread out a blanket. The reason I recommend this is because, well, A, it's cozy. It makes it feel like you're like having a slumber party or something. But also, the softness of the blanket can help us release doership, right? You can't like traction and overdo it in a pose when there's a blanket. So we can explore that, but if it gets frustrating, remove it at any time. Let's begin. Take a quarter turn to your left and slowly start to come on to the belly. I'll tell you when to hit play on the first musical track. So right now we'll start in silence. Hi Sithara, hi Dana, welcome. And stack the hands, elbows wide. Bring the forehead either to the hands or to the floor, whatever is most comfortable. And if this isn't comfortable on your belly or on your chest, grab a blanket and prop your arms up to give yourself a little more space so there's less compression on those areas. Oh, another friend at Eldo. Hello. And from this position, start to relax and soften. And give yourself permission to make little adjustments so that you're as comfortable as possible. And maybe lying on your belly isn't comfortable, in which case, try rolling onto your side. Feel the parts of your body that are touching the earth. And notice how your breath creates a gentle expansion in the body that presses you to the earth slightly, as well as expanding you towards the sky and the backside of the body. And today we'll be experimenting with moving like water. If you've ever watched a creek or a river, there is this wholeness, this force flowing, and it can't be broken into the individual parts. And that's how we want our body to move today. Whole and connected, just like one force of nature flowing in this direction or that, instead of a bunch of body parts. And so let's visualize this by bringing your awareness down to the feet. You can even gently tap the feet down into the earth to stimulate a little extra awareness. And imagine that you're a river and you're flowing, and the movement is coming from the feet up the calves, up the backs of the thighs, the hips, along the spine, along the neck, along the craniofascia, that's basically the skin of the skull. And I know you're not actually moving, but just visualize this energy traveling from the feet all the way up to the crown. And then we'll start to explore this a little more physically by pushing down just with the left foot. And as you do that, notice how the muscles in the left leg gently engage. You might feel the kneecap lift away from your blanket. You might even feel the shape of the thigh as it hugs towards the bone. Keep kicking and notice the sensation through the spine. Let the head ever so gently sway towards the right. And then same thing, other way, kick down with the left leg. Let that current of energy travel up the body until the forehead rolls over to the other side. And do this several times on your own and experiment with doing less. Right? Maybe you're already kicking quite gently. See if you can be even gentler. And in this way, your energy sinks to a subtler layer of your being. And then relax both legs, bend the knees, and start to windshield wiper the legs from side to side. You can't see your feet, but try to visualize them moving through space and how the shin bone follows. And then the thigh follows, which is a little subtler. There's just a gentle rotation. You might even feel the low back swaying. Perhaps you can even feel the sensation traveling all the way up into the rib cage. And now try making these movements slower and smoother. So there's no beginning and no end. And notice how this changes the experience of the ripple effect through the body. Maybe it's harder to feel it traveling all the way up the back. Maybe you feel other muscles integrating as it takes more support to control this movement. And the next time the knees come over to the left, extend the left arm out, push into the right hand, and roll onto the left side. Make any adjustments so that this is as comfortable as possible on the left arm, and ever so gently melt forward and melt back. And imagine you're not fully solid. You're like hot fudge, ever so sweet and gooey, melting forward and back. There's no bones in your body. And then start to notice how the right hand is helping you control this movement. You might not have even realized that that was happening. Your body is so smart. And then slowly slide the right hand forward and away so that you can smoothly come on to the belly and control this movement, right? You're still hot fudge, so there's no, hot fudge can't thump, has to move smoothly. And now let the feet fall the other way, so you roll onto the right side, probably away from me, and take those gentle rocking motions. Make sure you're breathing. And then start to notice now the left hand and how it's gently supporting you. And actually gaze at the hand, because chances are the way that it's supporting you naturally is actually how you're going to want to have your hands when we come to tabletop and plank, where it's really nice and soft, There's almost a curve underneath it, like you're palming a basketball. And slowly glide that hand forward so you can roll onto the belly. Glide both hands back underneath the shoulders and push into the hands to send the hips back to the heels into Bharadvajasana. Forehead touches down if that's comfortable. And if it's convenient, you can hit play on the first track. Make sure it's set to loop. Once you're all set there, we'll continue to flow like water from the feet to the crown. Gently start to push down into the shins. As you push down into the shins, notice how the pelvis gets a little lighter and start to ride that wave, rolling the spine forward towards cat pose. And then push into the hands, sending the hips back. And we'll sync this with the breath. Inhaling, slowly rolling forward from the feet all the way up. And remember, you're not a collection of body parts. You're just this flowing body of water. There's no beginning, there's no end, there's no separation. I like to think of my 75 trillion cells like a school of fish, all traveling harmoniously in the same direction. Take a couple more like this and try moving even slower and even smoother. And see if you can find some delight in that way of moving, where it's not about point A or point B, but really the flow. And the next time you come forward, let the body melt back onto the belly so there's no resistance. It's not a push-up, it's like just a puddle. And then extend your left arm overhead, bend your left knee, push into the right hand to roll onto the left side. And start to push the left leg down into the ground and notice how the right leg gets really light and it floats effortlessly. And then inhale to lower that leg and start to sync this with your breath. Exhaling to float the leg and inhaling to release. And each time you exhale, play with pressing the tongue up into the roof of the mouth. The tongue is actually the top of your core. Maybe you can even feel how that upward pressing with the tongue helps integrate the floating leg. The next time the leg lifts, pause there. Keep the leg as relaxed as possible, right? Because the work is coming from the left leg. Slowly start to glide the right hand forward like we practiced before, coming onto the belly. And we'll swap hands so the left arm drags back underneath the left shoulder. Push into the left hand and allow the front of the left hip to open. I know you're rolling away from me. Hopefully this feels familiar. It's the same as last week. Take a moment just letting the front of the hip become spacious. You can imagine you're wearing a heavy shoe that's helping peel the front of the body open. And then allow the sole of the left foot to touch down so that you can roll all the way onto your back. Yeah, continuing in that momentum. So you're rolling towards me. Slide your hands down towards your feet and be really gentle here. Start to push into the left foot and allow the hips to get lighter. And then set the hips down. Adjust where the left foot is, making sure the knee feels comfortable, and take a few of these pulses, pushing into the foot, sending that current of energy up from the foot so that the hips can drag away from the mat. You might notice that the right heel glides in a little bit. And it's not really a bridge pose because we're not lifting the hips very high, right? Imagine this body of water is just like going over a rock. It's just redirecting the current gently. The next time the hips come down, float the arms overhead, stretch the arms long, reach out through the right heel, and then push into the left foot to slowly, extra slowly melt over the right side, coming to the belly, and then all the way back to the left side, but as slowly as you can. And then we'll do that one more time. So exhale to hover the legs. See if it can be even lighter this time. And then inhale, set it down. Right hand in front of you. Let the right hand melt forward so that you can ever so gently roll onto the belly. And then the hand switch. Left hand drags back. When it makes it underneath the shoulder, allow the left side of the body to open so the foot starts to reach behind you towards the left glute. And then eventually come onto the back, and we'll do that not bridge pose again. And so hands come down towards the feet, push into the left foot, just unweighting the pelvis, and then put it down. And take a couple more pulses like that. And the next time the hips come down, reach the arms overhead, push into the left foot and milk this moment. Try to feel the flow from the foot pushing to the hip starting to roll, to the rib cage following, and then the neck and the head. 70 trillion cells moving together, not one more important than the other. And once we make it onto the belly, push into the right hand one last time, coming onto the left side like we did before, but then push into both hands so that you come into seated, keeping the legs where they are. So there's a little stagger, Bharadvajasana for you guys in the teacher training. We'll take one moment in our traditional Bharadvajasana, twisting to the left, and then we'll hover the left hand and we'll allow that left side body to lengthen. Just check in with the low back. Make sure to not overdo it here. Take a couple of breaths and feel that downward pushing and how it allows the rest of the body to get a little lighter. Can start to play with using the arm like a rudder, pointing the arm down to point the heart down, pointing the arm up to point the heart up. And then remember, you guys are doing such a good job. Slow and smooth. You're actually moving slower and smoother than me. And this is called shearing, as you shear across the left side body, try to feel how the arm connects down into the side body, down into the outer hip. Maybe you can even feel that connection into the outer left thigh and calf and the pinky side of the foot. And then this might not be for everyone's knees, so watch me and then you can do this however feels best for you. Drop the hands and push down into the legs to come up into kneeling. And then take a couple of slow motion pivots to either side, letting the hips lower but not quite touch down. Oh, nice. And the next time you come up and over to the right, let the right hip come down. And I haven't figured this one out. Poor little beached mermaid, try to shimmy over to the middle of your mat. And then use the right hand and the control between the right hand and the right side body to slowly make your way down, but as smooth as possible. And this should be opposite from the way that you started. Left hand in front of you. Let the head touch down. Pause on the side and start to glide the left hand forward and to the left so that you can roll onto your belly. Extend the legs out, stack the hands, elbows wide. Let yourself be quiet and still for a moment. And we'll repeat that Same sequence on the second side. There will be some options to add on in this first part. So let's start by propping ourselves onto our elbows. So elbows underneath shoulders, fingers point forward or slightly together. I like slightly together. It feels kinder on my shoulders. Push down into the forearms without moving them. Reach the fingertips forward and notice how the rib cage rises into the shoulder blade when you do that. Nice, that looks really good, Tejavan. And then release that action. And then let's sync it with the breath. So the exhale is for the expansive back of the heart. And then the inhale, you can soften. Take a few pulses like this and then move slower and smoother. Bring your awareness to the back of the heart. Perhaps you can feel the shoulder blades gliding on the rib cage. It might feel like the head can emerge from the shoulder girdle like a turtle poking its head out of its shell. That's for you, Roseanne. And then bend the left knee, gaze to the right. Gaze center, kick the left leg down, and then switch sides. And start to play between these two actions. Option, if you want a little more action here, as the foot kicks down, you can actually lift the hips away from the mat for a forearm plank on the knees. And then you go into the opposite, knee bending, gaze looking the other way. And then forearm plank. And remember, even though forearm plank is challenging, see if you can feel really even and supported, where not one muscle, not one part of the body is over-dominating. The next time the right knee bends, pause there, glide the right arm long, push into the left hand, roll onto the right side, and then bottom leg pushes down, top leg gets weightless, and it's effortless. Set the leg down. Try this a couple of times and become amazed by your body. You can literally lift your top leg without any effort. And if it feels like there's effort, don't worry about lifting it so high. Just let it be where it can naturally flow without force. Then next time it lifts, left hand in front of you, slowly glide forward and left, returning to the belly, and then right hand drags back. Push into the right hand. First we go into our hip opener, so the right foot comes behind you, the right knee comes behind you, the toes might even touch down. And then we keep on rolling onto the back for our half knot bridge pose. Reach the hands towards the feet. Take a moment to situate. There shouldn't be any pressure in the knee as you do this. Gently start to push down into the foot, letting the hips get a little lighter, and then set them down. Give your right leg permission. The foot might want to walk a little further to the right, a little further forward. And then take these effortless pulses where the hips float and maybe part of the spine follows. But you're just flowing. You're not forcing anything. Good. The next time the hips release, let the arms float overhead. Chain reaction, kick into the right foot, move so slowly, but follow the energy from the foot to the knee, to the hip, to the side core, rib cage, heart, neck, head, and then drag the left hand back. We go back to the beginning and we'll move a little bit quicker. So just take a couple of leg floats, using the exhale to lift the leg and push the tongue to the roof of the mouth. See how the leg and the tongue are connected. Can you feel that? Next time the leg lifts, allow the top arm to melt forward, rolling over belly. Switch arms, and then use the right hand to push onto the side, pausing in the psoas stretch. And whenever you're ready, if you're enjoying this, stay here longer. Eventually make your way onto your back for just a couple pulses, feeling how the foot can support the rest of the body. No tension, no pressure in the joints, just an ease and a fluidity. It's all in the mindset. The body will follow the mind. Reach arms overhead. Push into the foot, rolling onto the belly. We roll all the way to the right side and then push up for Bharadvajasana with the legs over to the left. Gently take your twist to the right and start to notice how the shins connect with the earth and how that allows you to lift and lengthen. And then right hand lifts, keep pushing down into the outer right thigh so there's a lot of space through the right side body. Allow the right side body to lengthen and then point the heart up and down. And sometimes moving from the heart is challenging, so letting the arm glide down and pull the heart can be a useful method. Nice. You shouldn't feel this in the shoulder. It should really be about the rotation of the spine, and the arm is just following. You can allow the gaze to follow. And then round 2, reach the arms up as long as the knees were happy with this the first time. You can play with pushing down into the shins to lift the knees and take a couple of side to side. If it's feeling stronger, you can play with letting the hips come a little bit lower, but just make sure nothing's cranky in the low back or in the knees as you do this. Great pacing, everyone. You guys look so fluid. And then let's come up to kneeling and shimmy over to the center of the mat and come onto the heels for a moment, just letting the legs relax. Take a couple of breaths. Let the focus shift down towards the heart. And instead of letting that current of energy come from the soles of the feet like we did at the very beginning, just imagine a flow rising up from the center of the heart. You might feel like contentment or joy. Let's turn to, before we turn to the right, option to grab a blanket and place it underneath your knees if you're in a scenario where kneeling will eventually become uncomfortable, because we will be on our knees for a little while. And then we'll turn to the right and we'll meet in tabletop. And you might remember the cue earlier that the hand should look like you're palming a basketball. One way to get there is to karate chop the blanket with your pinky side of your hand, and then allow the base of the thumb to come down too. And then ever so gently just touch down with the fingertips and the thumb, but keep the knuckles pretty lifted. I know you might be like, what are you talking about? You can try that a couple of times. We're finding really soft hands. You might need to walk them a little further back so that you can get more support from the triceps and the muscles on the back body. And then once you've found that, push into the hands, sending the hips back to the heels. Push down into the shins for one of our slow rolls forward. We'll be coming back to that in a moment as we add on. So use your exhale. Let's go to the next track, actually. It's time. I'm sorry. I made you set up tabletop and then move. But it's good practice. Each time you come back to tabletop, it will get easier. So you should be on the second track now. And once you've made it back to table, you can exhale, glide the left leg back, and inhale, bring it back to table. And take a few of these and imagine you're still in table. Like the rest of your body didn't get the memo that the leg was moving out of the way. And you can have that full support and relaxation even with one less leg. The next time the leg comes back, use your exhale to pull the knee into the chest, rounding the spine, and then inhale, lengthen the leg back, and exhale, curl it into the chest. The next time it lengthens back, cross it behind the grounded leg so the legs are totally crossed. And then push into the hands, melting the hips back to the heels. Take a moment resting here as long as it feels comfortable. And then we'll go into that same rolling motion that we did from Bharadvajasana. Push down into the left knee. Slowly let the hips get lighter. The spine will gently be curved. Shift the weight forward, letting the spine unfurl into tabletop or maybe even a little baby cow. And take a couple of these at your own pace, trying to feel the wholeness of this movement. No cell left behind. You are aware from the toes all the way to the crown and all the spaces in between. The next time you come forward, shift the weight into the left hand, reach the right arm forward, up and back. And then as the right hand comes down, tuck the toes under. And this is going to feel probably gentler than a normal down dog because you're on a blanket, and that's great. Hover the knees and gently push into the hands to send the hips up and back. Keep the knees deeply bent. And then set the knees down and go right back into that twisting motion where the right hand rotates away from the screen. As the hand touches down, push back into your effortless down dog. Pushing more into the base of the wrist can help prevent sliding. Set the knee down and go into the twist. And take a couple more on your own. Slow and smooth. No cell left behind. And the next time you come into down dog, slowly lower the knees, shift the weight into the right hand, and allow the body to open up towards the screen, stacking left shoulder over right. Pause here, flex the left foot, and with an exhale, push down into the right leg to float the left foot weightlessly, just like we did on our side. Take a couple of pulses like that. Less is more. Check in with your neck. See what your neck is doing and provide some support. Nice, Roseanne. And the next time the leg's lifted, tent the right fingertips and then jump with the right hand. Yes, that's a cue that actually worked. Awesome. Bend the left knee and adjust the right knee. Remember, you always have an option for an additional blanket underneath that right knee. And as long as we're jumping, take some jumps with the left leg. And as you literally jump, let the leg catch you. Make sure there's no pressure in the knee as you do this. So bringing the heel down will help provide a little extra support for the knee. But start to notice what wakes up in the hip socket when you do this. And there should never be any pain in any of the joints. So if this doesn't feel good, you can always keep the foot down and just take pulses with the knee. Let's start to make our way to the front. So we're more of a lunge than a Pranayama. And then release the hands down. Push in, and both hands are inside of the left leg, so that might be different than you're used to. Let the left leg walk over just a little bit, and then push into the hands and the top foot to send the hips back just a little bit, kind of like Bharadvajasana, and then push into the back shin to roll forward and slowly stack the spine, letting that wave send you all the way up into a gentle weightless Anjaneyasana. And then melt the hands back down, push into hands and foot to send the hips back. You can flex the front foot if that feels good. And then slowly roll forward just like we've been practicing, but now we get the freedom of lifting all the way up. Nice. Check in with your neck, make sure it feels supported. Do one more on your own. And you can sync this to the breath however you want. It's nice to take actually multiple breaths to come up. And then we'll pause at the top. grab your block, at least for this first round, and place it underneath the right knee. We're going to play with a transition to standing. You may or may not need the block, but I just want you to actively choose to not use the block. So I'm going to turn to the side just so you can see this. Same thing from last week. Let's put hands on hips actually. Keep shoulders, hips, and knee in one line as you bend the back knee, and it'll send you back and it'll turn on your core. And you shouldn't feel any pressure in the low back. There's no back bend happening. This is turning on my favorite core muscle, the psoas. And then this is what's going to help us come to standing. So the next time you lean back, let the hands lift, and then exhale, shift the weight into the front heel and let the back knee come up. Yes, awesome. Way to go, everybody. And then gently set the knee back down, because that was just our practice round. And then move the block over to the side so it's ready for you when you get to the second side, and we'll turn to the left for tabletop. All right. So from here, use your nice soft hands, paw them out, make sure the joints are really, think of your arms almost like accordions, and you can feel all of those folds happening in an even way. And then come to center and use your exhale to slide the right foot back. And take a few pulses here, and you want nothing in the body to move besides the right leg. And it actually takes an incredible amount of deep core support. And deep core is actually hard and subtle to feel. It's not obvious. It's not surface. The next time the leg comes back, use your exhale to bring the knee in, curling towards the knee. And take a couple of those pulses, inhaling to lengthen out, exhaling to curl in. The next time the leg reaches out, cross it behind the left leg, and then push into the hands, melting back to your cross leg Bharadvajasana. And then push into the legs to very slowly and delicately lift the hips, rounding the spine forward back to table or to cow. And then take a few of these on your own, exploring that chain reaction from the feet pushing down and the rest of the body following, and all of the cells moving in the same direction. So effortlessly, so fluidly. You can sync this to the breath however you want. Just make sure you're breathing. Next time you come forward, shift the weight into the right hand. Left arm circles, but it's really more about the heart turning. And as the hand comes down, tuck the toes, lift the knees, little baby down dog. Push into the hands to send the hips up, but keep the legs really deeply bent. And then lower the knees, and we go back into our circle with our arm. Take a few more on your own. If one of those movements is more interesting, you're welcome to stay there a little bit longer or add anything on. And the next time you're in down dog, lower the knees, push down into the left knee and the left hand to slowly stack the right shoulder and the right hip so the body starts to open towards me. And I always know if I'm not letting the body slowly stack because my hip pops. If I do it right, my hip doesn't pop. Lift the top arm, flex the right foot, and use your exhale to push down into the left leg, unweighting the right leg. Let it feel so light and expansive. Set the foot down. Let the right side of the body lengthen for a moment. And then we'll do that one more time. Exhaling, push down and let the lift come from there. Tent the fingertips and then jump with the left hand, turning to face me. Bend the right knee. Let the hips relax so there shouldn't be any strain in that movement. Cushion your knee if you need to, and then we'll play with jumping with the right foot. Of course, you can always keep the foot on the ground if that's more kind to your knee and your hip. And this is a really fun way to wake up more support in the hip socket, and to get all of the muscles online from the leg all the way up from the very smart sole of your foot up the back line of the calf and the hamstring, as well as the adductors, which are a part of your deep core. And then eventually make your way forward with the right foot, but you don't need to rush. I'll tell you. Once the foot is forward, but still slightly to the left, you guys look really good. Release the hands down, send the hips back, and push down into the back shin to roll forward and let the whole body inflate into the most effortless back bend you've ever done. And then release back down. And I like to inhale as I release down and exhale as I come up because it keeps me lighter and more connected, but you're welcome to breathe however feels supportive for you. And the next time you come up, grab your block, place it underneath the left knee. We'll take some of our rock backs, hands on hips, just to make sure that nothing's moving in the hip socket. If you don't feel this as a strong core action, it means you're compensating somewhere. I'm not saying that to make you feel bad, but just so that maybe you stay a little straighter and don't go as far back, because it should be an experience of strength and no compression in the low back, no extension in the spine. And then the next time you rock back, lift the arms and use your exhale to shift the weight into the front heel, and the back knee just floats magically. It's like, how did that even happen? And then gently set the knee back down and come off of the block for one moment. Grab a sip of water if you want it. Go to the next track. And we'll make our way up to standing in that most fun way that I love so much. How did that go for everybody, the magic floating knee? Was that okay? If it didn't feel good on your knee, don't do it. Okay, so we'll go back to side one. So place the block underneath the right knee. And it's okay if I'm getting that wrong because we're starting fresh with our last sequence. Left foot in front. We'll start with a couple of rock backs. And then the next time you rock back, lift the arms and use an exhale to spring forward. You might need to kick the block out of the way just a little bit. Place the back heel down. The toes should mostly be forward, but they're a little out to the left. Straighten the front leg. Take a breath, push into the feet, let the spine lengthen from the bottom all the way up, and then bend into the knee and float the arms. Gently start to drape the body forward over the front thigh. Hands can touch the thigh if that feels good, or they can just reach. And then push down into the left heel. Here's this wave we've been playing with. Slowly let the spine roll up into a back bend. And then play with this on your own, releasing forward and waving back up and trying to feel that wholeness of the movement where it's happening in every vertebra sequentially. You don't even have to think about it. You just have to allow it without getting in the way. Nice. Everybody looks so smooth. Last one. If it feels good as you come up, the arms can circle up and back, and the back can help you start to release forward. And the next time you come up, pause there. Bend into the front leg. Get springy, get light. So bend both knees, both elbows, and then spring into the front heel and twist into the right leg, and pause there for a moment. Keep rotating the right leg open and drop the elbows for dancing Shiva. You can bend the left knee a little bit. Your whole body is just pulsing with energy because you're Shiva. Did you know? And then slowly start to reach the right leg off to the right side and twist the body away from it. And try that a couple of times so you can really feel how the reaching of the leg allows the body to twist in the opposite direction like a counterbalance. Nice. The next time you reach, let the right foot touch down. Left leg stays bent. We're kind of in Prasarita-Padottanasana. So the feet are parallel. Bend the left knee and twist towards the left. And then push into the left foot, floating, open. Bring hands to heart center. Take a breath. Next, exhale, bend the left knee and let your arms fly open. We'll take a few pulses here. Push into the foot, back to straddle, hands at heart. And then exhale, slowly melt over to the left, opening your wings. Make sure to keep the weight in the left heel so there's no pressure in the left knee. Anchor the left big toe and try to press evenly through all 3 points of the foot. And the next time you twist, pause there for a moment. Imagine you're on a surfboard and gently rock forward and back and let the weight shift in the feet and notice the muscles traveling up the legs and the back and how that changes the experience. Gently bend both knees and melt forward between the legs, releasing into Prasarita-Padottanasana. You can circle the weight on the feet or gently sway the spine from side to side. Ooh, that feels really nice. I recommend that one. And then gently release one knee down at a time, coming back to kneeling so we can prepare for the second side. And so now the block is going to be underneath the left knee. And if you don't need the block, it is okay to try it without. Sometimes it's just intense to go that far with lifting the leg. So the right leg's in front. We start with our rock backs. Take your time, just garnering that strength that's going to help you lift the back leg. The next time you rock back, lift the arms, and the exhale sends you forward. Back knee lifts effortlessly. Kick the block forward so you've got space for your foot. Gently melt the heel down. You might want to step the right foot a little further to the right so you can experiment with that. And then straighten both legs and just take a moment to find equal weight in both feet and a nice relaxed pelvis. Slowly start to bend into the front knee, anchoring the heel so there's no pressure in that knee. Float the arms. And then straighten the front leg and slowly circle the arms back. And as they come back and down, allow that movement to start to melt you over the front leg. Bend the front knee a little bit. No resistance, moving just like water. And then keep the front toe, big toe anchored as you push down into the heel, slowly rolling up, letting the spine unfurl, letting the arms follow. Nice. Arms circle back and we repeat. No resistance here. So you want it to feel light and easy. And if it doesn't, try a shorter stance. Try not going as far forward. And try to feel how the whole body can participate evenly here. Nice. The next time you're up, stay up. Lift the back heel. Softly bend both knees. Get a little lighter and springier, and then shift the weight forward and start to twist towards the left leg. Externally rotate the left hip, just letting the left foot get really light and buoyant, and soften the elbows. Take a couple of bounces here in Dancing Shiva. And then slowly start to kick the leg out and twist away from it. So the leg goes to the left, your body goes to the right. And try that a couple of times, starting to notice how you can use the leg as a counterweight. Keep the right big toe anchored. That's going to help your balance be more solid. And put the left foot down at any time that you need a little extra support. The next time the leg reaches out, line it up with the right foot and pause in a straddle. And then bend the right knee, twist to the right, and let the wings open. Try to feel how both legs are connected to one another and they're equally supporting your pelvis. push into the right foot, come back to center, hands to heart, and then take a few pulses on your own. I like exhaling into the twist because the twist takes us into a deep experience of the adductors, which are part of that deep core that's going to fire when you exhale. And the next time you come into the twist, pause there and start to rock the weight forward and back as long as that doesn't put any pressure in the knees. Imagine you're catching a wave and you're staying balanced on your board. You guys are all getting ready to visit me in Hawaii. I love it. And then bend the left knee and let the body melt through the center. Hands can come to thighs, shins, or floor. Make sure the weight is in the heels and keep a deep knee bend here. Send the hips back a little bit and notice if that helps create a little extra support through the back of the legs. Let the spine be soft. And then start to push into the left leg and notice how the whole body can sway to the right. Push into the right leg to go the other way. And then slow and smooth, explore the side to side connected whole body action. Nice job, everybody looks so supported. And then bend the knees so deeply that you can comfortably bring the hands to the mat and very gently bring one knee down at a time. Oh, my block happened to be between my feet. So if that happens for you, you can sit on your block. Why not? Take a moment, pause, and go to the next track. So from here, we can move the block out of the way and turn to the right for tabletop. Glide the left leg back just like we did before, but this time we'll glide the right knee forward towards the right wrist and then ever so gently swivel the shin. Don't use your hands, only use the muscles in your hips, so it might not be as deep as you're used to for pigeon, and that's good. Push down into the right shin to activate that chain of muscles that travels up into the hip and the core. And then gently start to press the hips forward and back, getting bouncy on that back foot. The next time the hips come back, lower the back knee, lower the top of the back foot, and tent the fingertips. Use the arms to help lengthen the spine forward. Make sure there's no compression in the low back. So wiggle through the hips, sway them from side to side. If you can't do that, it's usually a sign that you've gone too deep. So you want to make sure this feels really light. You guys look really good. The next time the hips shift to the left, circle the right arm forward, up, and back. And then as the hands come down, press evenly into the hands, kind of like a plank pose, and let the hips float just a little bit, but the back knee stays down, so it shouldn't be very intense. And then melt the hips down, circle the arm. And just take a few of these gentle pulses. If you want to add in bending the back knee, you're welcome to do so while you circle the arm, but you don't have to. Sometimes that's really intense, so remember, you're moving like water. There's no resistance. If it doesn't flow, skip it. And the next time the leg comes back and down, pause and gently release to the forearms. Try not to release all support of the body. It's okay to soften the hips, but you don't want to put any pressure on the hip sockets. And then if it's comfortable, it can be really fun to lift the thumbs towards the ridge of the eyebrows. So underneath the eyebrows, above the eyeballs, that nice socket often carries a lot of tension. So just placing ever so gentle pressure along that ridge as you breathe and relax. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. You can always just support your forehead with your hands. And then release the head. Come back up to hands. Slowly melt the right hip down. Bring the left leg in. So you're kind of in Bharadvajasana. Let's just take one nice easy side bend here. And then as we come out, let the knees lift and fall over to the other side. Plant the hands tabletop. And then glide the right leg back. Tuck the right toes under. Glide the left knee forward and to the left. Swivel the shin gently and start with those pulses. Try to feel how the legs are connected towards one another and how they support the pelvis. So it's never about getting as far as possible, but rather feeling really buoyant and light. The next time the hips come back, release the knee down, shift the weight into the right hand, and take a circle forward, up, and back with the left hand to gently rotate the spine. As you rotate towards that front leg, you're lengthening a team of muscles that wraps all the way into that outer left hip and outer left thigh, so you might feel a little extra space there. The next time the hand comes down, lift the back knee, let the hips float, and then set the knee down and go back into the arm circle. You can continue on your own, syncing with your breath, however feels best to you. Option to add in the bending of the back knee, but only if it's flowing. And the next time the body squares off towards the mat, gently lower the forearms down. Stay here or bend the elbows, bringing the thumbs towards the ridge of the eye socket, underneath the eyebrow. Make sure you're breathing. And then come on to the hands. One last time, shift the weight into the left hip and stack the right knee on top this time. Start to lift through the left hand, letting the left side of the body open. If you liked that shearing movement that we did in the beginning, you're welcome to take some gentle rotations here, opening up through the left side body. And then gently release the arms down, lift the knees, and kick the legs out straight towards me. So it's okay if you're in any direction, but pause for a moment at center and start to drag the heels back and notice how the knees naturally bend. There's that sort of like accordion action that happens so naturally with the legs. Try that a couple of times, and you don't want to feel work happening in the hip flexors. You really want it to come from the heels dragging back, so there's a lightness in the front of the body. The next time the knees bend, tent the fingertips, pull on them to lengthen the spine. Gently melt the spine forward over the legs. And then kick into the heels just like you did before, or actually no, you didn't do that. Kick into the heels to slowly roll up. And we'll sync this with the breath now. So inhale, drags the heels, bends the knees, the body reaches forward and up. I'll go to the side. And then exhale, kick into the heels to slowly extend the legs, letting the body roll up. Don't worry about going very far here. Try to move as fluidly as possible, and often that means not being near our end range. So even though you can go further, we're trying to find that smoothness, that control that takes a lot of strength, a lot of support. If you want to pause in Paschimottanasana, you're welcome to, or you can keep flowing. If you are pausing, it can be nice to ever so gently sway from side to side, just lengthening from the low back. You don't have to think about it, that's what's happening, but that's why this is beneficial. And then slowly kick into the heels, and let's take 3 breaths moving only on the exhale to slowly roll up. Once you have arrived at the top, pause and notice any sense of feeling supported and light and at ease. And keep that sensation as you walk the legs over to the right so that the head points to the left, and then allow the legs to start to lengthen out. You can pause your music at this time. Place the hands to either side and allow the river of your body to flow towards the earth effortlessly, fluidly. If there's any last movements the body is craving, please be my guest. If there are any supports you would like to offer your body, I really love putting a blanket underneath the backs of the knees, making sure my body temperature is going to stay nice and temperate. And eventually allow the body to be very still. And you might notice a sense of that current of energy flowing through the channels of the body. And just let the awareness drop into the heart. And we'll rest like this in a space that we can absorb from the deepest layer of our being. Imagine spirit simultaneously within and around you until the entire universe spiritualizes. Imagine spirit simultaneously within and around you until the entire universe spiritualizes. And from this place of connection and expansion, can make any gentle movements that will make the pathway to seated friendlier, gentler, smoother. And take your time, just like we did in every movement, moving slowly and smoothly, letting pressure against the floor help you expand upward. Take any pathway to a comfortable seat that is inviting to you. And we'll close our practice with pranayama and then meditation. And for pranayama, we'll be doing the full yogic breath. And this practice helps us breathe fully into the bottom of the belly, the widest part of our ribs, all the way up to the chest. And most often we favor either belly breathing with kind of a collapsed chest or chest breathing without getting all the way down to the belly. And so this is a really effortless way to fill in our blind spots. And so to do this, we'll place one hand, let's all be on the same page. So we'll put our right hand on our belly and our left hand on our heart, and make sure the arms feel relaxed and that this is sustainable for you. And breathe naturally and notice where you have more awareness. It might be at the belly, at the chest. And just take note of that so there's a little extra seed planted to pour energy into your blind spot. And we'll imagine the space from the hand, the bottom hand to the top hand, almost like a glass of water. And we'll fill up this glass slowly and smoothly with our breath. If it's comfortable, close the mouth. Gently press the tongue against the roof of the mouth and swallow, creating a gentle seal, Kachari Mudra. And take a couple of breaths through the nose, smoothly and naturally. And then gently begin drawing the breath down towards the bottom hand. And pause, slide the hand up just a little bit and allow the breath to continue to the bottom of the ribs and then all the way up into the top hand. Let the exhale be effortless and easy, yet slow and steady. The bottom hand will slide back down to the belly. Pause at the bottom of the exhale. And then we begin again. About a third of the inhale travels to the right hand. Feel the belly expand. And then slide the hand up for the next third into the ribs. And then the final third will fill and pool at the heart. And let the exhale be even slower and softer and smoother, emptying out. Bottom hand slides down to the belly. We'll do one more together. First third of the breath goes to the belly. Hand slides up to the ribs. Final third all the way up to the heart. And very, very slowly release the exhale. Let it be as smooth as possible. And then you can continue on your own, filling up from the bottom to the top, trying to give as much love and attention to each section as possible, especially to that blind spot section. And the exhale is just like you're pouring out that glass of water fully and evenly and just a little bit at a time with complete control. We'll do this for one more minute, about 6 breaths. Take one more full yogic breath in and out. And then release all effort and let the breath be completely natural and unobstructed. And keep your hands where they are for a moment. If you've already released them, that's fine. And then, without losing consciousness of the spaces of the breath, you can melt the hands down to the lap or the thighs. And now, instead of controlling the breath, we can bring all of that focused attention to the heart center. So before, where you were pulling so much awareness down to that bottom hand, imagine that depth going inside of the heart center. And that same sense of expansion and fullness now happening in this deeper layer of our being. Let the breath rise from the bottom of the heart all the way up. And then as you exhale, keep all of the attention at the heart center. And take that slow, smooth, conscious exhale and let that breath take you even deeper into the heart. It's almost as if when you let go of the breath, you can really sink into the depths of the heart. And let the breath be as natural as possible, yet be vigilant to use it to connect to the heart. And begin to attach a mantra to each in-breath and out-breath. You can use any of our lineage mantras. I'll recommend Om Namah Shivaya. And just like we practiced with our asana, imagine every single cell repeating the mantra. Every single cell fixated on the energetic heart center. Imagine spirit simultaneously within and around you until the entire universe spiritualizes. Thank you all for coming. such a highlight of my week to be here with all of my favorite people. Have an amazing rest of your day and your week. Enjoy week 2 of your training, Shoshone friends. Please, as always, let me know if you have any questions. See some of you soon on Friday for our training, on Saturday for our Sangha, Seva Day, and all the other things. Aloha, everybody. Bye, Jatila. See you on the chessboard. Yes. I made my first move. Bye, Mom. I hope your shoulder feels better.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Oh, good.
It got dark outside while I was in Shavasana.
Oh, yeah, good. You
I
can
didn't
just
think about it. It was so bright and sunny when we started.
hopefully it was a very relaxing Shavasana.
It was.
Bye, Roseanne. Great to be practicing again with you. Hi, Shoshone friend.